All right. Loud mics. Greetings. I don't know why my mic is so... Okay, then it just kind of bugged out there. Okay. Sorry. Don't know what's going on here. Check. Okay. All right. It's a Monday. Greetings. Welcome back. Good to see you. Welcome. We're live on YouTube, Rockfin, Callin, and on Twitter. If you're watching on Twitter, hello to you. Yeah, you know, give a what's up if you're on Twitter watching the show. Better yet, on the bottom of the video where it says limits to understanding, hit that. I think you just need to hit it one time, and on the right hand side there's a chat box and you can drop a chat, you know, converse with whoever else is watching on Twitter. Says a couple people are watching on Twitter. I guess I'll believe them. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I do also know that quite a few people that watch the show on several streams at once, which is cool. I appreciate that. It does make it a little bit hard to understand who's watching what, where, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm all mixed up. Help. I'm good. I'm not that mixed up. I'm fine. Honest. Okay, what's up? Let's get into it, because time is a-wasting. The morning is slipping away. It's a nice, chilly, brisk spring morning here. We're due for another... Well, we got us a little bit of a rainstorm this weekend. Not much. Just some. It was nice. But it looks like we're going to have another weekend or two of chilly weather. I thought we were supposed to get I thought winter was not supposed to last too long, but we're getting an extended kind of chilly, kind of wintry weather for the next week or two. At least, you know, winter for California. Whatever passes for winter here, but it's cold. It's cold enough, you know. It's in the 40s at night, low 40s. So chilly enough to I don't know, to need a sweater. Okay. Let's see if we can find some posts to bring you, some stories to bring you, some things to look at to bring her. Call in people. How you doing? Steve Austin. Steve Austin says, another day, another rain bomb in a car sewer. But don't worry, those are e-cars. And this is Mozambique. Quite a few places in Africa getting hit by some major rains. And Wasn't it somewhere else experiencing some pretty some flash flooding? I can't remember where. I know I saw some another post about some flooding going on. So there you go. Mozambique getting hit. With floods. Here's Kenya. And if you're paying attention, if you're playing the climate change bingo at home, then you know that it's like all the time. This is in Kenya. Nairobi. If you're paying attention, then you know this is all the time now. That new weather is happening even here. We got another, I wouldn't call it a rain bomb, but we got another like bit of weather. It's very, very abnormal for Southern California to get this much winter. And no, it's not just this year. Again, if you have been paying attention, if you have been awake and alive and, actually, taking note and marking down, like, man, this is some crazy stuff happening here. If you've been, alive and alert and paying attention and not, I don't know, intentionally not noticing what's going on, then you would know that this has been happening a lot. What's that? Another bleaching event happening in Australia? Well, golly. Well, they've been saying that because of the warmer because of the warmer waters, of course. Of course, warmer waters are going to bleach coral. That's kind of how it works. And, well, this is not actually new news. Great Barrier Reef in Australia hit by another mass coral bleaching event. It's from a week ago. Well, with warmer waters, I mean, that's what's going to happen. And we are in unprecedented an unprecedented neighborhood of warm sea temperatures that I don't see going down. Excuse me. Jeez. I don't see it going down. Do you? What's the mechanism? What's the mechanism by which the sea temperatures are going to go down? Tell me how it's going to go backwards. Or it's going to revert to the mean, as someone put it the other day. Warm ocean waters have hit Australia's Great Barrier Reef with another mass coral bleaching event. And they are threatening the world's other coral reefs with the same fate. Yeah. Well, ocean waters are warmer. I don't know what else to tell you. It's the third major bleaching event in 5 years for the Great Barrier Reef, the world's largest coral reef that is home to more than 1,500 species of fish and 400 species of hard corals. Some call them the rainforest of the sea because of their rich biodiversity. Scientists say this year is seeing the most widespread bleaching yet, and they primarily blame climate change. Excuse me, which they say is exacerbated by this year's El Nino. a naturally recurring warming of ocean currents. This bleaching could kill part of the barrier reef, along with coral reefs around the world, according to experts with National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The extent of damage will hinge on how warm oceans get in the coming weeks and months. It's bleak news, isn't it? And of course, they have to put a price tag on it. In the U.S., the total economic value of coral reef services exceeds $3.4 billion annually. Thanks. Thanks for that. Excuse me, guys. Sorry, I don't know what is going on. Not enough coffee, apparently. Let's see. Experts estimate coral bleaching has killed about 1/3 of reefs worldwide. When a coral reef is damaged, it can support less wildlife, which leads to less tourism. Dang. Less tourism. Well, that's going to affect the economy. My God. All right. That's got to affect the economy. It's all about the economy, y'all. That's all that matters. All right, let's look at this. Limits to growth. Remember this? It's embarrassing how many people still don't know what this book is about. What the limits to growth showed is that if economic growth is pursued far enough, the costs of growth rise faster than the benefits and force the global economy to its knees. Global bureaucracies can no more change that than they can amend the law of gravity. As the costs of growth begin to bite, one of the few options that offers any hope for improving conditions is to cut back sharply on, well, he says bureaucracies of all kinds, since bureaucracy consumes resources, energy, and other goods and services and produces remarkably little in return. A viable world on the far side of peak growth is thus not a world of global managers running vast bureaucratic systems. All right, I can get with that. John Michael Greer, I think you're on to something there. That the world of the future will inevitably have less room for global management is something that would-be global managers can't even begin to conceive. I don't know if I'm going to read this. But that's true. They can't conceive of it. I just can't understand it because I don't want to understand it. Not because these people are stupid. They're not unintelligent. There are lots of very intelligent people out there and holding very important positions in very important organizations. That maybe understand the stuff privately, but publicly do not understand it or don't want to understand it. And they'll go on trying not to understand it until the bitter end, right? For as long as possible. As long as they possibly can not understand it. There are a lot of people going live on Twitter right now. My God. My God. Anyways. And that refusal, I wouldn't even call it a lack of understanding, but it's a refusal to, it's an inability, not even an inability to understand. It's just, they don't need to understand it. Not at the moment. Not if you can live in another bubble of understanding, which is that everything is fine. I have my life path set out before me, and I don't have anything to worry about. I have money in the bank. Everything, buying things feels good. Having a new car feels good. And, on some levels, I get that. I probably should drink a lot more water before I do shows. It's just I'm just having a internal dialogue outside of my body. Sorry. Yeah. All right, cool. Lots of people in the YouTube chats. Hello, YouTubers. Hello, Rockfinners. I see the Rockfinners. Hello. Yeah. Thanks for watching on Rockfin, y'all. Rockfin is the place to be. Honestly. They don't censor anything, and there's no ads. If you really hate ads, I mean, I guess you could have an ad blocker or whatever. But if you don't like ads, Rockfin is cool for that. And you can access all my stuff on Rockfin for free. So there's that. Just sign up for an account. It's cool. It's not that hard. And they're getting better. I know some people have issues with Rockfin, but they're getting better every day. A lot of people, a lot of people that don't want to understand this. The universe is big. We're going to find our way off the planet. SpaceX is going to come in, and we're going to have fusion energy and spaceships, and we're going to, live on Mars or the dark side of the moon. I don't know where we're going to live. We're going to do all that. And I don't know about that one. I mean, it sounds nice. Well, there's also a whole, long and very well populated list of people that want to tell you that, the people that wrote this book or did this study are all the worst possible type people, and they're setting you up for what they're trying to do is map out a reason to depopulate the planet and take you out. And I don't know. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's not true. But does it mean that their analysis is incorrect? That's the thing. I mean, science works. It doesn't matter what science works because it works, right? Physics works because it works. It doesn't really matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. It doesn't even matter who's doing the sciencing, right? Who's measuring the thing. Like, pretty sure that nuclear bombs exist. Pretty sure that nuclear explosions happen. Although there are a whole bunch of people, I think, that will tell you even that's fake or something. I don't know. The thing is all right. Are you guys? I think I lost my check. What is happening here? Hello, hello. Check. Oh, geez. I think my. Sorry about that, guys. Might have to check. Resolder this cord or something. All right. I was saying something. What was I saying? Not sure. Yeah. No, it doesn't matter who's doing the measuring. That's the thing. And you might say, and the people might say, yeah, but they're fudging those measurements. They're okay. I'm with you. I'm with you on that one too. Okay. I can follow you down that road too. But some things just work, like planes fly because of physics, right? We know that planes work. That planes get up in the air, energy inefficient or not. Destructive or not, doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter if, the people that invented air travel were crazy. It still is a thing that works, right? You understand what I'm saying? And I think Osama's brought this up many times. Other people, right? Isaac Newton was, kind of a weird dude. He's kind of out there. It doesn't mean that gravity doesn't work, right? He was able to perceive something correctly there. The theory of gravity is a correct one. Gravity does exist. You can check for yourself if you want. I'm sure everybody's experienced the reality of gravity. So it doesn't really matter, who's doing the creating. It doesn't matter who does the study of limits to growth. It doesn't matter. And I don't know, like, if you want to look at what they found or what the study says, it's hard to refute the reality of it. You don't see that ecosystems are being degraded. You don't see that the world is full of toxins. You don't see, obviously there are a lot more humans, but you don't see that there might be a resource wall, that there might be an agriculture, that we already are there, and everybody knows about it, right? Soils are depleting. We're going to run out of topsoil in a few decades or less. Well, hey everybody, if you're it might be the reason why there's a lot of people have shown up. Well, I don't know what's going on. Nobody got a notification for the show, so sorry about that. I did post the show rather late. What happened was I had the whole show together and I had the thumbnail, and I was going to post the show, a good while before 9:00, and then I went to go do something else, and then I got in the shower and I was getting ready, and I was like in the shower, and I was like, oh, I didn't even post the dang show. So I had to get out of the shower and post the show 10 minutes before 9. Sorry about that. That might be my fault, but they're also very good at not telling you that I'm going live, right? So you might have to, as I've mentioned many times, at 9 a.m. usually I post something at 9 a.m., whether it's a live stream or an upload or something. Something will be here at 9. I'm trying to do live streams at 9. So if you don't know what's going on or don't know if anything's happening, just mosey on over. Just a mosey on over at 9 a.m. I'll probably be here. We'll all probably be here. But thanks for showing up. I appreciate you. All right. Anyways, I just, the veracity of the things that they kind of predicted, it just looks basically, it looks basic to me. It looks like, okay, well, yeah, I can totally see that. I try, Gene. I try. Yeah, I mean, it just kind of looks like, like very simple, a very simple thing that people can see. Like, oh yeah, we are jacking the earth up, right? And the people that are like, no, it's better than ever. It's better than ever. There's so many of us. We're great. We can do great things. I love that optimism. I do. I love the optimistic spirit. I really do. There are physical limits. I don't know what else to tell you. There are physical limits, and those physical limits are already. Miami, I think it was the other day. So I was thinking about flooding. Where else I saw, some random, Miami again, streets flooded out in Miami, which happens all the time now. Because of, mostly sea level rise, right? And the ground sinking, the seas are rising. It is happening. You're going to have to do a lot of explaining about how that's fake, or how that's not real, or how that's not a consequence of a warming planet. Like, I don't know what kind of, extended exercise and pretzel logic you have to, really get down into to tell me that that's not a consequence of the planet heating up. I just, and whether the powerful people are trying to use it against us or not, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't negate the fact that it's happening. I'll walk down that road with you too. Oh yeah, they're trying to, sure. But I mean, physics is physics. And we can all take a little stance based on our political silos. All day long we can find facts that fit our arguments, our narrative. You can do that all day long. You can find a study that'll back your position. You can do that all day long. Physics is physics. And again, just looking at what's happening on the planet, it just looks dumb obvious to me that the planet is warming and that we've messed it up and things are changing. It's just dumb obvious to the guy standing in Salisbury Island, Massachusetts. I'm not a climate change guy. Yeah, your house is about to be swept away into the sea, bro. and it's been encroaching for, year upon year upon year. You've literally had 10 or 20 years to watch this happen. But you're not a climate change guy, and there's plenty of people out there that will make you feel good about your that feeling until your house is swept away, or until your city's underwater, until your house is burned down, until your whatever. Plenty of places you can go on social media and feel like, yeah, oh yeah, totally doing it to us. And does it matter? Is it going to matter when your house is gone? Is it going to matter when you go to the supermarket and there's no food there? Is it going to matter when you go to the gas station and gas is $25 a gallon? Because, it's just harder to pump that shit out of the ground. Anyways. But have fun with that. Or let it work for you if that's what if it's really, if that stance is working for you, let it work for you, I guess. But anyways. I think Limits to Growth, it's a book. It's a study. It's graphs and stuff, whatnot. And they did a re-up on it several years later, which basically found this, said, well, yeah, yep, it's happening. It's a real thing. It's true. And what if I don't know. I'm also of the mind that maybe some of the people in charge do know that we're going to hit a physical wall, and maybe they're doing really crazy stuff. Maybe they have like bonkers ideas on how to approach this, and they're masters of the universe and they have billions of dollars at their disposal, and there's maybe some of them are trying to get us to a half Earth or a depopulated Earth or whatever, because the masses won't. I don't know. There's probably so many conflicting narratives and agendas. The main one, a really big one though, is this is all sham. It's I'm not sure about climate. I'm not a climate change guy. I'm not sure about it. We're not sure how bad it is. The biggest one that a lot of people don't see is that one. It's all a hoax. It's space lasers. It's HAARP. It's geoengineering. All of this stuff. It's not really real. They've been telling us it's going to happen for. I think the same guy said something like that. Well, back in the 70s, they told us that we were all going to be gone by 2020. And it's 2024. We're still here. All right, dude. Well, you don't understand. You don't understand that maybe, okay, it didn't happen by 2020, but if it happens by 2030, is that going to change the outcome? Mm-hmm. If somebody says to you, if you keep drinking and smoking the way the way that you're doing, you're going to be dead in 5 years, right? And 7 years later, you're like, I'm still here, ha ha ha. And then 9 years later, you die of a heart attack. Wow, what a win! What a win for you! How intelligent of you. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and definitely, if you have money to live in an air-conditioned box and get in your air-conditioned box and drive to another air-conditioned box and buy things in an air-conditioned box and take them back in your air-conditioned box, back to your air-conditioned box. Yeah, you're fine for now. If you don't have to actually go out in the fields and get your food, or grow your food, surely you're insulated. If you don't have to scrape for a few meager dollars, if you don't have to work 13 hours a day to make $1.50, yeah, super insulated. Anyways, but we're all here. We're all a bunch of psychopathic, anti-human lunatics. So, what do we know? Well, I don't know if I was going to play this or not, or read this. I think I was going to move on to something else. Oh, by the way, let's see. Just going to go check in on the various tipping platforms. If y'all want to support the channel, there are various ways to do it. You could buy me a coffee. You could super chat me. You could super ray me. Super chats on YouTube. You could PayPal me. You could Venmo me. You can Cash App me. All those kind of ways. If you send me you know how it works. If you really want, it's super cool when you send a donation and give me a little note to read to the people. That's always fun. Right. All those links are in the description box, by the way. And to all the people that already donate, I appreciate you. Where are we going next? Let's look at this from Jeff Biradelle. Comparing sea ice age side by side from 1985 left to 2022 right. We have very little old ice left. We see these graphs like over and over and over and over again. Here's the moving one. But as the time goes on, the very thick multi-year ice, it fades away. It fades away. And we have very little of that left. So the only ice that comes back is the new thin ice. And obviously the animals that live in that habitat are suffering because of the changes in this lack of ice. All kinds of other things happening, permafrost, losing permafrost, et cetera, et cetera. Let's look at this. Before we go there, in Mongolia, they experienced a really harsh winter. Which, as you know, means climate change doesn't exist. Just kidding. Mongolia, but 5 million animals have died. So this would be, extreme weather doing what extreme weather does. Mongolia is facing its harshest in 50 years, leading to the deaths of over 4.7 million animals, impacting the livelihoods of herders. Extreme weather conditions have caused a state of heightened readiness, prompting the government to activate the Emergency Operations Center. Climate change has contributed to recurrent extreme weather events in Mongolia, disrupting the country's traditional herding practices and agriculture. Right. That's what's going to happen. Too cold, too hot, can't grow food. These goddamn ads. Since November, at least 2,250 herder families have lost more than 70% of their livestock. More than 7,000 families now lack access to adequate food, it added. It's spring, but the winter is dragging on in Mongolia. There's still snow on the ground and the livestock are still dying, said Methau. The Mongolian government declared a state of heightened readiness last month that would last until May 15th. And on Tuesday, the IFRC launched an appeal for funds to alleviate the suffering of the people who have lost their livelihoods. While they are used to Mongolia's bitter winters, a dzud, or disaster, comes when summer droughts are followed by heavy snowfall and extreme cold. This year's snowfall has been the highest in 49 years, covering 90% of the country at its peak in January, according to the World Health Organization. Last year's summer started well with abundant rainfall, but a severe temperature drop and early snowfall in November preceded a sudden temperature rise, which caused that snow to thaw. According to the UN, that was followed by an extended cold snap that dropped below negative 40 C in some areas. That meant the pasture was so poor, the animals couldn't fatten themselves up before winter, and herders couldn't prepare enough hay to see them through. Now Mongolia has been hit with a dual white and iron dzud, which means very deep snow is preventing animals from reaching grass, combined with a hard freeze that locks pasture lands in ice. Dzuds are becoming more frequent in Mongolia, so the pasture and herders don't have time to recover between bouts of extreme weather. And there you go. Right. All right. I'm going to get into this last thing for the moment. Let's see. From Nature, Are We All Doomed? How to Cope with the Daunting Uncertainties of Climate Change. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when thinking about the damage that might be wrought by global warming, but that is missing the point. How doomed are we? It's a question I've been asked as a climate scientist many times over the years, sometimes with doomed replaced by less printable synonyms. I struggle to answer it every time. It's not a scientific question because the terms are not well defined. What does it mean to be doomed, and who is we? Maybe some people really mean it in the most extreme and literal sense, whether global warming is going to single-handedly wipe out the human species in the near future. In that case, it's easy to talk them down. The evidence doesn't support that prediction. Okay. But I think that they mostly mean to ask a more subtle question, something like, as someone who understands the science on climate change better than most people, what is your emotional reaction to it? How scared are you? Fear is an emotion. No scientist, nor anyone else for that matter, can tell you the right amount of it to feel. If you knew that you were going to die in 6 months, how much fear should you feel? And what should you do in response? You wouldn't go to a scientist for the answers to these questions, but having facts to inform our feelings can nonetheless be helpful. Scientists can at least provide some of those. We know that the planet is warming because of human-caused greenhouse gas emissions. We can project the rate of warming with some confidence over at least the next few decades. At a broad level, we know what many of its effects will be, but when we look more closely and ask about the societal consequences, things get blurrier. The global increase in temperature is the simplest and most predictable dimension of climate change. It is also the one that scares me the most, partly because the direction of change is so certain, and partly because heat is such a persistent and widespread hazard. For the large proportion of the world where it's already hot during some or all of the year, just a couple of degrees of warming will cause great societal harm. In places with cooler climates, such as much of Europe, severe heat waves can sometimes be even more deadly because people there are less accustomed to heat. Sea level rise is another area in which we can be certain about how things are changing, even if we are uncertain about how fast. Extreme rainfall events are becoming heavier and hydrological droughts are worsening owing to faster evaporation of water from hotter soils and plants. Wildfires are becoming more frequent and severe for similar reasons, although they are also affected by forest management practices. With some other hazards, however, even the direction of change is uncertain. Individual hurricanes are getting more dangerous because of strengthening winds and rains, and worsening coastal flooding as sea levels rise. But we don't know whether hurricanes will become more or less frequent. If the latter, the overall risks they pose might decrease. We also don't know whether meteorological droughts, lack of rain, will become more or less prevalent, or what changes we should expect with severe convective storms that produce tornadoes and hail. Okay. I thought this was going to have some kind of really good information. This is just a lot of very tepid. We don't really know. We just don't know. I mean, is it any wonder that people are skeptical of climate change? I mean, you get it straight from the scientists. You don't really have to go to a science denier page to get some skepticism in your climate change. Just go to a scientist. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's really connected. Totally not sure. Okay. Yeah. Let's keep going. Let's see. The scientific uncertainty itself is scary. Sure is, because it means that some things might get worse faster than we expect. Scientists always expected warming to exacerbate wildfires in the western United States, but I don't think anyone predicted that it would happen as soon and as badly as it has. Threat multiplier. Particularly disturbing is the possibility of tipping points, large, possibly abrupt, and irreversible changes with planetary scale consequences, such as the loss of large chunks of the Antarctic or Greenland ice sheets, the emission of large amounts of methane from melted permafrost or seafloor sediments, or the shutdown of the Atlantic thermohaline circulation. The probabilities of such changes happening soon are all low, so don't you worry your pretty little head. But they are hard to estimate with confidence. Despite all the facts and the uncertainties in the facts, climate change itself is not really what keeps me up at night. Maybe that's because my professional training has disconnected me from my emotions on this score. But I think there is a bigger reason. If we care about climate change because we care about human well-being, then climate change can only be one part of the story. Humanity faces many existential risks. Wars are being fought today that are already catastrophic for those and places involved. They could become catastrophic for many more if they expand, especially in a world with many nuclear-armed nations. Loss of biodiversity and ecosystems, for example, in the Amazon rainforest, is an immediate global-scale disaster. The rise of artificial intelligence creates species-level risks, even if our assessment of them is highly speculative. What I personally find the most disturbing is the democratic backsliding in my own country. Here we go. The United States, as well as in others. Yeah, it concerns me too. You know, when governments try to censor free speech, in the guise of telling you that the people, you know, the bad people are saying the bad things, so we should censor them all. That's called democratic backsliding. I don't know if this person is aware of that, the actual meaning of that. Maybe they are. This threatens society's ability to responsibly handle crises, and also tends to create another crisis as authoritarian regimes consolidate and express their power in harmful ways. I wonder what regimes they're talking about. Could they be talking about Israel? They seem pretty authoritarian. I think democracy is backslid like all the way in there. Over there, the people don't like what's happening, and yet they're going to just keep on doing it. We don't like what's happening, and yet they're going to keep on doing it. I would say that's democracy backsliding right there. So I don't know. Tell me more about this, please. Climate is coupled to all these problems in one way or another, but as scary as many direct consequences of climate change will be at 2°C of warming or more, the greatest harm, at least in the short term, comes from its role as a threat multiplier. For example, high rates of migration from low-income countries to the United States and Europe has already been weaponized politically by far-right groups, but totally not from the left at all. I mean, it is, that's true. Anyways. But it's being weaponized by all sides, don't you think? Don't you think? If warming increases rates of migration and democracies slide into authoritarianism, isn't it our authoritarianism that started the migration in the first place? If we destroyed all the countries' economies that were trying to do right by their own people and right by themselves, and if we were so afraid of the socialist democracies and the communism, we had to go in and get those people out of there so we could have control over whoever was in charge, and we destroyed their economies and the climate in the process, thus resulting in migration. Just wondering. I don't know, but I do fear this scenario deeply. Climate change, in fact, might be one of the more certain components of our future. Social and political developments are even more difficult to predict. Can anyone really predict life on Earth in 2050, let alone 2100? Well enough to suggest specific outcomes on a planetary scale, with or without climate change? So many questions. And again, even if we did know the planet's future with perfect certainty, there still wouldn't be a single right way to feel about it. How good or bad is the present moment, for that matter? The answer to that question depends on our position in the world. In other words, who is we? All right, I'm not going to read any more of this article, just because I'm afraid of where it's going to go. And the wishy-washiness of it all is just really actually making me a little sad. I don't know. Could be the end of the world. Then again, probably not. Or maybe not. Nobody knows. I don't know. How do you feel about that? I don't know. Anyways, okay. Tell me what you really think. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to wander into a political discussion there. when the understanding of what is really happening might be a little bit limited. But, we'll leave that discussion for another day. Maybe another channel. Another channel, which I might see you on. I will see you on at noon, okay? All right, guys. That is going to end the show. Oh, let me make sure nobody slipped in a message here at the end of the show. Don't want to forget anybody. What the heck is going on here? What the heck? I mean, really? I mean, really? Okay. Yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. I'll see you all tomorrow at 9 a.m. We'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow at the regular time, 9 a.m. Pacific. And thanks for watching. Guys are super cool. You rock. And until next time, peace. Peace.